I'm going to give you a 3-point plan to win back the day. Everybody loves 3-point plans, right? I love them too. This morning, workout real early. I'm sitting in the shower, doing my thing, washing my hair, and I'm like, I owe it to you to give you a battle plan moving forward. The battle plan is this. The Georgia election controversy, election law changes, is not about Georgia. It is about election laws everywhere. Make no mistake. Georgia implemented a mild form of voter ID to vote. This is a disaster for the Democrats. Why? Because I said it yesterday. The Democrats love to cheat. It is hard to cheat without voter ID. Therefore, Democrats don't like any law that makes it harder for them to cheat. Everybody got it? My 3-point plan is going to be this. Alinsky outrunning bears at a Trump rally. What the hell does that mean? Don't you worry, Daddy-O. I'll explain that to you. By the way, this 3-point plan applies to winning the narrative on just about any subject. So, a little excited today.
Yeah.
Which I wasn't before. Now I'm like all into, really? Right, Joe? Before the show, I was like a little tired. Now I'm like all into, I don't know. Don't even ask me how that, I promise it's not narcotics. It's not drugs. Contrast to Joe's shot at me before the show. He said, hey, some meth laying around. Yeah. He's joking, of course. There are no drugs involved. I love this topic. Tactics matter. So the 3-point plan, how to beat back the Democrats in the narrative wars every single day. Point 1, adopt Saul Alinsky's rules. Saul Alinsky, Dan, isn't he one of the liberal bad guys? He was. But his rules for organizing absolutely work. And if we don't adopt them, we will be overrun by them. Period. Full stop, Aruski. So, taking back the narrative on the Georgia election law, because it's not just about Georgia, it's about cleaning up elections everywhere. They're trying to intimidate other states to not do the same thing. You got that, right? Everybody understands that?
Right.
This has nothing to do with Georgia. They're trying to scare every other state from doing the same thing. Look what's going to happen to you. We're going to boycott you. So, step number 1 in my 3-point plan to win the day back, adopt Alinsky's rules. And let's start with rule number 4 from Saul Alinsky's Rules for Radicals. Make the enemy live up to its own book of rules. If the rules that every letter gets a reply, send 30,000 letters. You can kill them with this because no one can possibly obey all of their own rules. Ha! Yeah. Oh, I love this one. I love make the enemy. Almost ate the microphone there. Make the enemy live up to its own rules. Hat tip Marco Rubio, senator from Florida. You know, Rubio and I agree and disagree on certain things, but I want to applaud Marco Rubio yesterday for adopting Saul Alinsky rule number 4, make the enemy live up to its own rules, and sending this letter to the commissioner of Major League Baseball, Mr. Manfred. So Marco Rubio sent a letter to Robert Manfred, commissioner of Major League Baseball, who thought it'd be a good idea to pull the All-Star game out of a 51% black city in Atlanta and send it to a white city in Colorado, largely. But that's not racist. He thought that'd be a good idea to teach those Georgians, Major League Baseball, we're going to teach you guys a lesson. Commissioner Manfred's like, you dopey Georgians, we're going to boycott you in your state. We're going to show you we're pulling that All-Star game out of there. So hat tip Marco Rubio sent Commissioner Manfred a little letter. And you'll notice if you'll see the letter on the screen, you can watch the show, of course, at rumble.com/Bongino. It's like, you know, it's really interesting about Major League Baseball ending an engagement with Georgia. And he's asked, will it now end its engagement with nations that do not even hold elections, like China and Cuba? Will you end your lucrative financial relationship with Tencent, a company with deep ties to the Communist Party that actively helps the Chinese government hunt down and silence political dissidents? That's a good question, Senator Marco. That is a great question for the commissioner. Make the enemy live up to its own rules. Now, the second part of this letter is even more fascinating. So Major League Baseball, their own rules, right, Joe? Their own rules.
Yeah.
What are their rules? Hey, we don't do business with these terrible of election suppression racists like the people of Georgia, where everybody's like, what are you even talking about? But we have no problem when they don't even hold elections in China and Cuba. And if you try to hold an election, they throw you in a concentration camp. No worries. MLB, Major League Baseball, that is A-OK. We'll do business over there. But Rubio makes an even better point on the second part of his letter, where he asked Commissioner Manfred, this faux hypocrite loser, but he's supposedly captain principles now, right? He says, similarly, this is Rubio's letter to Manfred. I'm under no illusion you intend to resign as a member from Augusta National Golf Club, which is in Georgia. I thought he didn't want to do business in Georgia, but he's a member of a golf club there? Rubio says, because to do so would require a personal sacrifice, as opposed to the woke corporate virtue signaling of moving the All-Star game from Atlanta. Nice. 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 Very nice. Very, very nice. Very nice. So I know I'm not supposed to move away from the mic. I can't help it. There's all kinds of rules for doing radio. I obey none of them. And by the way, when we open the terrestrial radio show on May 24th, I have no intention of obeying the rules there either. Just so you know. Again, I disagree with Marco Rubio about a lot of things, but this is a spectacular effort. So Commissioner Manfred, baseball, we will expect you to live up to your own set of rules. Pull Major League Baseball out of China. No more activity in Cuba at all. Definitely no drafting of Cuban baseball players. And we expect your letter of resignation from Augusta's Golf Club immediately. 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 So make the enemy live up to its own set of rules. So Coca-Cola had a virtue signal. You know, selling sugar water for them is very important. So Coca-Cola has said, listen, we definitely want to speak out against a law that requires people to show voter ID because that is definitely racist. So as I showed you the other day, let's make Coca-Cola live up to its own rules. It'd be a real shame if everybody kept using their social media platforms to call on a Commissioner Manfred to resign from Augusta, pull out of China. And if they showed this image of Coca-Cola, it'd be a real shame if this made its way around. In order to get into their annual meeting of shareholders, I showed the other day, you need, quote, a valid photo ID and an admission ticket. Oh. It's great. What? Valid photo ID and at least you don't need an admission ticket to vote. So Coca-Cola is even worse than the Georgia voting law that requires ID to vote. Make them live up to their own rules. Alinsky's rules number 4, Quattro. Make them live up to their own rules. Let's go to Delta, which of course also sent out a virtue signaling statement about how much they objected to the Georgia law. You know, photo ID for Delta. It's inexcusable. You can't have a photo ID to vote because photo ID and asking people for a photo ID is definitely racist. It is. All this took was a Google search. This is actually a screenshot of my phone that I sent to Guy before the show. So here are the required travel documents from Delta to travel within the United States. This is a quote from their own website for the liberals who care to look this up. In the United States, you need a valid U.S. government-issued photo ID or a passport from your country of origin to travel through security. Oh, okay. That's good. That's sorry. So to fly to attend a Coca-Cola shareholder meeting, to pick up tickets at Major League Baseball, you need a photo ID. But to engage in the most important civic activity a citizen can engage in, voting to select our leaders who will determine the future of the country, who have possession of the nuclear codes, and all of that kind of important stuff, you definitely don't need a photo ID there because it's totally racist. Okay. And all the liberals buy this. Suckers. Big time suckers. All of you. I've been talking to this Washington Post guy, by the way. I know. We'll see where it goes. Sometimes you got to do this stuff. But I made the point yesterday on my show and to him that, again, if you can explain to me how insisting that asking for a voter ID is somehow racist because black people can't figure out their driver's license number, if you can explain to me in a sane and coherent thought how that's not racist in and of itself, I'd love to hear it. I haven't heard it yet.